All right, so with the dynamics of retirement changing, here's some statistics that you may want to pay attention to if you're planning on retiring in the next few years. And I'll apologize right now, you're going to see my eyes darting up and down because there's a lot of information and I'm going to have to go back and forth to my notes. So number one, the expected retirement age for workers, now this is when they expect to retire, has risen quite a bit from 63 to 66 in the past 20 years. Yeah, from 2002 to 2022, people are saying that they expect to retire at the age of 66. So that's the number one statistic. So if you're thinking about retiring a little bit later, you're not alone. 40% of Americans fixing to retire say that they're delaying their retirement due to inflation and the economy. Yeah, so there again, if you're one of those people who's on the fence about, well, maybe I'll wait and see what's going to go on with the tariff wars and all that, you're not alone. There's a lot of people thinking the same way. And 46% of Americans who are between the ages of 60 and 75 are actually planning to work part-time in retirement. Yeah, that's becoming a real thing, that people they're quitting their 9-to-5 jobs so that they can go ahead and have something a little more flexible, maybe something that they're going to enjoy a lot more than what they're doing right now, and go into some part-time work. I know out there at the plant that I worked in, it was a running joke that, when I turn 60, I'm going to retire and I'm going to become a greeter at Walmart. So, and 43% of Americans are worried about outliving their savings. And to me, that statistic sounds a little bit low. I actually thought that would have been a little bit higher than that, because you never feel like you really have enough. Even after you get your financial plan built, the financial plan is kind of linear on inflation and stock market gains and things like that. And you can get hit like we did, the early part of this year. You can get hit with inflation and a bad stock market that can really tank things for you. And depending on where you are in your retirement, the sequence of returns risk can hit you a little bit harder than you think. But you just have to stay adaptable, right? You have to be able to adapt how much you're spending, how much you're withdrawing out of your accounts, and if you have to, there may come a time when you need to go to work part-time. And that all depends on how you've done your savings and how you've done your spending. And along with that, in another survey, they figured out that the typical Americans they took a bunch of Americans and said, how much money would you need to retire comfortably? And that number came out to be $1.8 million. Yeah, $1.8 million. Now that's a pretty high number and a pretty high bar to set. So, if you're thinking that, how much do I need? I'm not saying 1.8 is the number, because that's what most people say they feel comfortable with. Now, most of those people probably don't have a retirement plan built for them. So if you need to, go out, find a fiduciary financial advisor and get a retirement plan built just for you. So I'd like to pause the video for just a minute and ask you if you would go down into the comments and let me know where you're from. I'd really appreciate that. It's pretty cool seeing, all the different states and even different countries that these videos are going out to. So leave me a comment if you don't mind. Now, to what I was just saying, 67% of Americans aged 50 to 74 do not have a formal retirement plan. No, they don't have one at all. So again, for me, I know in my retirement, it makes me feel a lot more comfortable that I have a plan built, and I pretty much, I know what I'm looking at from year to year, and I can benchmark that and see which direction I'm going. And if I need to make changes, if I need to, not withdraw so much, or if things are going well, I could withdraw more and take a few more vacations. Just different things like that. So I would encourage you to have a retirement plan built for you before you go into retirement, and keep up with it on a yearly basis. So 60% of retirees said that their former employers did not help them prepare for retirement. So, I got to say that my company that I worked for, they did a great job. Once you turned 55, you started getting emails, and they were always bringing in speakers from Merrill Lynch, who handled our 401k, and they were always bringing people in. And, they had hookups for us if we wanted to, talk to financial advisors. And even after I retired, and, right when I gave my notice and I was going to retire, they have a whole dedicated department to retirees. So, they helped us get our health insurance lined out. They helped us with all our pension plans, with our 401k rollovers, and they were just great. But I guess from what a lot of people say, that their employers really don't engage in that. So you've got to go out, and you may need to find your own financial advisor and figure out just what they can do for you and how they can make that transition easier. So another factor is to retirees, 44% of retirees struggle for their basic living expenses. And that's a pretty high number for the older Americans in the United States. And also 71% of retirees are carrying substantial debt into retirement. Now that doesn't surprise me, because a lot of people, they'll have a car payment, or like my wife and I, we do have a motorhome payment, so we did carry a little bit of debt into retirement. You just have to gauge that on what your expenses are and how much you can withdraw. Now, 41% of Americans also said that Social Security, that they are planning on Social Security being their prime income source in retirement. Not saying that's good or bad. It depends on what your expenses are. If your expenses are fairly low, then Social Security may cover a big chunk of that. But if they're not, if you're planning on having pretty high expenses, Social Security, the average right now in 2024, I believe, is $1,974 a month is the average check, the average Social Security check. So look into that. Go to ssa.gov, and you can get a look at what your Social Security benefits are going to be by just setting up an account. It doesn't take very long. It's fairly simple to do. So I hope this video has helped you out, and if it has, reach down, hit that like button, and watch this video next.